Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
two certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only two best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome to Clarity on Fire. For those of you who are brand new, it feels so odd to say that because we've been doing this for 8 years, but people discover podcasts literally every day. So I have to act like you've never met me before, which is an odd thing. But hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Kristen.
And we have been podcasting for 8 years, but we have been here existing as life and career coaches since 2012. Oh my God, since 2012.
Way back when people asked, what do you do? And I said, I'm a coach. Their first thought was, what sport do you coach?
Right.
Because coaching was a little fringe that far back. So that dates us a bit.
It does. It does. But I hope that it gives us a little bit of street cred because we've been around for so long that were we a flash in the pan, we would have burned out long ago, but we're still here, except we're not because we're on hiatus. But the reason we're on hiatus is because Kristen is pregnant and she is having a baby in July of 2026. And we know that we will not be back for a while. And so we're giving you a place to start where we can break down and just make it really easy for you to figure out how to ingest the over 430 episodes that we have available. So, Kristen, I'm going to see if you remember this. If you were so inclined, you could go back, anyone listening can go back to our literally number one, very first episode we ever released was an introduction. And in that episode, I described us as the Lizzie and Jane Bennett of career coaching.
Wow. Yeah. I would never have remembered that, but it still feels true to this day.
It is. 8 years later, there's no better way to describe that. So if that reference lands with you, then you've come to the right place. And if it doesn't, I have to implore, why have you not watched any version of Pride and Prejudice yet in your life? Like, how have you not ingested the 1995 or the 2005 versions? I implore you to do so because then that reference will make a lot more sense to you. But Kristen and I are, I think, more sisters than we are friends because we've known each other for so long. We met when we were 19 years old in college, and we have been friends for now almost. At the end of this year, it will be half our lives.
That's crazy to think about. And neither of us has a real sister in real life. So
Right.
we have taken each other on as pseudo sisters.
Yes.
Which
And
is really helpful when you're running a business because it takes a particular kind of relationship to run a business for as many years as we have. And we still like each other. Amazingly.
Yeah. Our dynamic is more like sisters than friends, which is you can say shit to your family that you probably can't get away with saying to your friends. And you can even be snarky to them and other people would be offended. And they're just like, yeah, that's
how it is.
Yeah, that's how we roll. Anyway, okay. We have been certified life and career coaches. That's important to note. We did not just go through an online course for a weekend and call ourselves coaches. I don't stand for that. Kristen and I went through a very rigorous, very legitimate International Coaching Federation accredited coach training program. And we have been coaching full-time for many, many years, part-time more recently because of the fact that I had a baby and now Kristen's having a baby. And What you probably heard in the podcast intro, which is still true and has been true all these many, many years, is that people tend to find us when they have a lot of experience learning what they don't want, but they have come to an impasse when it comes to figuring out what they do want. And that could be career, obviously, but it can also be just generally broader in life.
Exactly. If you have felt stuck for a little while, or you're not as happy with your life as you imagined you might be at this stage of life, but you have no idea what to do to get back to feeling the way you want to feel on a regular basis, that's our sweet spot. That's the work that we love to do. Yes, we are career coaches, quote unquote. Will we help with your resume? Sure. Can we help you with interview prep? Sure. Does that light us up? Not as much as helping you figure out what direction you want your life to take, what you want next in your life as a whole, career and personal life, and how to get there. That's the stuff that has had us coming back to this work for so many years because it never gets old. It's always fulfilling. And there's just nothing quite like being on a journey with somebody when they are making big or small decisions that ultimately change the trajectory of their life. So that's why we do what we do. We've never yet gotten sick of it. And that's never been true of any other job Rachel and I have had. We have not been historically great at sticking at jobs for a long time, but
No, we have an
there's a
episode
reason.
about that. It's not on this list though, but we do have an episode about all the jobs we've ever quit, which is a fun one, but
It is a
it's
fun
not
one.
on this list. Okay, so in a minute, I'm going to give you a list of the top 6 episodes that we recommend listening to in order if you're new to Clarity on Fire. 6 out of 430, that's a really hard choice to make, but I will explain how we narrowed it down. But first, you'll notice that we have 6 different types of episodes. We have side chats. That's where Kristen and I, without very much planning, just sit down and riff in an open-ended conversation kind of a way on a theme or a subject or a question or something that's come up that's really eating at us that we need to talk about, we want to process, we want to explore. There's Dear Rachel. That is our advice column. So listeners write in questions about anything, can be career, anything life related, and you get our advice. Messages from the universe. This is us taking one of our favorite oracle card decks and shuffling and pulling cards and interpreting and analyzing them for you. And those are so fun. And guess what? It doesn't matter if one is 4 years old. If you scroll back and you just land on one and you feel the urge to listen to it, listen to it. I promise you there will be a message in there for you that's relevant to whatever you've got going on right now. We also have normal person interviews. These are really fun. And the reason that I felt really passionate about doing this from the very beginning was that most podcast interviews you listen to are with alleged, quote unquote, sometimes deserved, sometimes not so deservedly called experts. Depends on which podcast you're listening to. The title expert is very loose and can be kind of dubious. I like the idea of interviewing experts, and we do have expert interviews on this podcast with people who I legitimately think are an expert at whatever we're interviewing them about. But I really like doing normal person interviews, which is where Kristen and I will interview someone that we've worked with. Typically, it was someone we had a one-on-one coaching relationship with. It sometimes was someone who maybe just did one of our courses at one point to share their story of how they found life and career direction. And there's so many things and themes that come up in those conversations. But every single one I feel is incredibly relatable and inspiring in that there is nothing that separates you from another normal person who is having a lot of the same existential angst and the same questions and is seeking clarity. And then the last type that you'll see is rarer because we only did this a handful of times per year, but bonus book clubs where Kristen and I dive into a book that's in some way, shape, or form, even if it's loosely in the personal development genre. And sometimes we do give it a little review, but most of the time it's almost like the Spark Notes version. If you don't want to read the book, we're not going to spoil it for you. We're just going to tell you, here's the good stuff that we took out of it. Here's what we think that you should know. Here's what you can learn from this book without having to read it. And you know what I love is that most of the time when we hear back from listeners, I hear every single different type of episode is someone's favorite type of episode. And I love that.
I also find myself saying at the beginning, this is my favorite type of episode. But then I realize
Yep.
I'm saying that about book clubs, or I'm saying that about messages from the universe, or normal person interviews. So they all bring something different. And yes, there are over 400 episodes. There's a lot to choose from. But we didn't want them all to feel like us just gabbing on and on. We wanted there to be different flavors that you could tap into. So if you really love the interview sections, we've got tons of those. If you really love our side chats, where maybe we do just gab on about something in particular. If you love a book club, we've got a little bit of everything to keep it interesting for you. So even if you're hearing certain episodes that might have a similar topic, we can come at it from a really different perspective. Maybe it's a question somebody had versus a story someone's sharing versus just our current take on that topic.
True.
So we come at it from a lot of different angles.
So those are just for your edification. When you're scrolling and you're like, what the hell is a side chat? Now you know. Now you have an idea of what kind of episodes, just in case you're in the mood for something in particular. You can scroll, you can pick what you want to listen to first, or you could listen to the handful of curated episodes we're going to share with you. But however, honestly, the first thing you should do if you are new to Clarity on Fire is pause this episode and don't listen to any more episodes. And instead, go take the passion profile quiz, okay? Because this is the cornerstone of what we do and our messaging, and it's going to come up over and over and over again in every episode. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you're going to get lost really quickly. So clarityonfire.com/quiz. It is an 11-question quiz. It takes you 2 minutes. And we created this quiz, honestly, kind of out of thin air. And yet it ended up being so important and integral to so many people's life and career direction journey. And I don't know how we did it. And I don't think we could repeat it. And so I'm never going to try.
I think that this was one of our channeled things that I don't know that we even created it so much as it just
came through,
like was dropped through into our consciousness, and we delivered it to you all because I don't know that we could recreate it. I don't even really know where it came from, but it has landed so accurately for hundreds of thousands of people who have taken this quiz over the years, maybe more. And so it's tapping into something that has to do with how you're meant to be working in the world that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. Everyone always wants to know, what are you passionate about? And what do you want to do for your career? What do you want to do in the world? And it's all about the what. Do you want to go be a doctor? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be a therapist? And we're missing a huge piece of the conversation, which is how are you meant to combine the way you're wired with the working world before you even think about what you're actually supposed to be doing. So are you more entrepreneurial? Are you more of a team player and wanting to be a great contributor to a big mission? Are you somebody who just works to live, doesn't live to work? These are some of the factors, and there's a whole lot more that we'll get into when you take the quiz, that help you determine what broad buckets of careers should you be looking at before you even start to think about what am I supposed to be doing with my life and career.
Everyone's obsessed with what should I do, and they think that figuring that out is the solution. And we created this quiz over a decade ago. It was 2015. And I'm telling you, still a decade later, no one is talking about this. I don't know why we're still the only ones who are talking about this in this way, but we are. So if you have been hung up on what should I do, know that you're asking the wrong question. What should I do is the second question that you should probably be asking. The first is, how should I be working? How should I be combining, like Kristen said, how I'm wired with how I want to work in the world? And that's what the Passion Profile Quiz helps you measure and understand and break down. So take the quiz. And then once you've taken the quiz and you've read your result, there are 4 possible results. Then come back, listen to the rest of this episode, and listen to the episodes that we're about to recommend, okay? So We have 6 episodes that we want you to listen to in order. This is particularly if you are resonating with I am stuck. I know what I don't want, but I don't know what I'd rather be doing. I feel like I have no direction. I feel overwhelmed. Maybe I've gotten apathetic. I'm feeling really drained. And I just want someone to tell me what to do. I want to spark some momentum for myself. These episodes are meant for you if that's what your struggle is. And if you listen to these episodes in this order, I want you to think of it as like a little mini course. The first ones are going to focus a little bit more on your mindset and redefining some of the probably big assumptions that you've been making about career and how to find direction and love what you do that are probably not serving you and are actually harming you even. And then it becomes more action oriented as you go on, and it gives you some actual concrete steps and advice. So without further ado, Kristen, would you like to start reading off this list?
Okay, so actually most of these are in the side chat category.
Yes.
It makes sense because if this is going to be more of a course type format where we are walking you through the mental and action oriented process of going from, I don't know what to do, I'm just not happy and I want change in my life and career, to having a lot more of a sense of, okay, maybe I have some starting places of where to be putting my attention and how to be thinking about this in a healthier, more productive way, then this is the format where we most succinctly deliver our latest thoughts on a particular topic. Whereas interviews is more like someone's story. A book club might be something that's somebody else's message or expertise that we want to bring on to you. But if you want to hear our guidance to help you go from unstuck to having a bit of a starting place, then side chats make sense. That's why we leaned into this category. So the first side chat that we want you to start with is called 6 Ways to Love and Keep Your Job for Years and Years. And that's from May of 2022.
We're giving you the dates so that you have an idea of how far you have to scroll back. Okay. The second is a follow-up to that episode. It is a side chat called 6 More Ways to Have a Career You Love, and that's from January 2023.
Then we take you into a teeny mini course on the 4 passion profiles. So we told you to pause this episode and go take the quiz. So by now, if you have followed instructions, you might already know your passion profile. Or maybe you're not that new to Clarity and Fire and you've known it for a while, but you want to know a little bit more about your profile. You want to understand a little bit more about what that means. What do I do with it? This is going to give you a little bit more in depth on the concept of passion profiles and what each of the 4 really means and is about.
And then the next side chat is called Why Dating and Job Searching Are the Same Thing. This is from March of 2020. So I guess you'll get our very early pandemic hot takes in that episode as well. Apologies for anything that feels so untimely if we're talking about it in 2018 or 2020. Listen, the content is still good, even if the world reports are very old.
The next one is the top questions to ask yourself when job searching, according to your passion profile. That one's from April of 2023. So now if you're getting a little bit more into searching for new possibilities, this is a much more actionable episode on how to use your profile to help you start asking yourself the right questions so that you know where to start looking for places that are actually going to be a good fit for you.
And the last episode on this list is a bonus side chat from February of 2021 called How to Create a Light at the End of the Tunnel. I included this episode because I think it's important to bookend some of the more action-oriented episodes with some guidance around how to have a healthy mindset around how long and arduous and endless it can feel when you're job searching or when you just feel directionless. I think one of the worst things about it is not knowing when it's going to end. And so I included that because I think that's a really good episode to help you reframe your mindset and try to have a healthier relationship with the unknown, which is kind of a big part of life. in general.
Unfortunately, an unavoidable part of life. So it applies no matter whether you're job searching or whether you're just in a period of time where things are hard. Things are kind of challenging and you don't know how long it's going to last, but you want to try to infuse a little bit of hope and lightness into that time frame.
Okay, so that's it. Take the passion profile quiz, listen to those 6 episodes, and then after that, you can obviously continue to explore all of our back catalog of over 400 episodes. There are so many.
You can play Clarity on Fire roulette, where you just
absolutely
roll your thumb as far as you want and then just land on wherever you land. And that's your episode of the day. You've got plenty of choices for that.
And if you want something a little bit more actionable, and if you liked the idea of a 6-episode mini course, and you want something a little bit more concrete to continue building on, we do have an actual course called the Passion Profile Short Course, which, especially if you really resonate with the concept of passion profiles and you want to dive deeper into using yours to help actually carve out your career direction and get unstuck. It's about a 5-ish hour self-guided, it's on demand, you do it at your own pace course to help you do that. So I will link to that in the show notes as well. You can always find it on clarityonfire.com. The Work With Us tab has the Passion Profile Short Course page. That's a good next step for anyone who is serious about getting unstuck and doesn't want to spend like a million years doing it. Wants something that they can achieve in literally a day. They could sit down and bang away at that in a day and come out with a lot more clarity than they had at the beginning. That's the goal.
And keep in mind, too, that even though we're not podcasting actively at the moment, we are still taking on clients as we can.
Very selectively, but yes, we are still available for one-on-one coaching, which is actually the most of what we do. Like the vast majority of what we do is not podcasting, even though we've podcasted for 8 years and 430 episodes. We've done multiple courses throughout our time. We still have one active course. We've had many, 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 many hundreds of people, thousands, I guess, probably in that course. I haven't counted in a really long time. But still, the most of what we've ever done is working one-on-one with people. And so we do, yes, still have availability, very limited, but we do. Throughout the rest of this year, we will have availability for one-on-one coaching. Kristen, not so much, but I will be available because Kristen will be on maternity leave. So if you are really tired of trying to figure all of this out yourself and you want very expert guidance and focus on your situation, and you want to seriously speed up the process of getting out of your own way and figuring out where you want to go, then please, by all means, you can go to the Work With Us page on our site and look at the one-on-one coaching page and fill out a request to chat with us about it. But one of the best things you could also do is sign up for a power hour. All you have to commit to is 75 minutes. It's one single session with us, one of us, probably me, if we're talking this year, where we can laser focus on one particular issue where you're stuck and get you some clarity. I know we use that word a lot. It's for a reason. It's not just like brand integration. It's just a really good word to sum up what our whole goal is for you. Is to help you get clear and unstuck. So that's a really good way to try on coaching and see if our style is something that you would mesh with. And the bonus is that what you spend on Power Hour actually can get applied to your one-on-one coaching, kind of like a little mini deposit on one-on-one coaching. So if you decide to continue with a full 3 months or 6 months of one-on-one coaching, then that was just like your first step in that direction.
The Power Hour ends up being free because that money goes toward the coaching.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've given you lots of ideas of how you can get started in the Clarityverse. No one calls it that except me, but I'm still hoping that it will catch on. And we will be back. We don't know when. If you want to hear more about why we're going on hiatus, other than just Kristen's having a baby, there's more to it than that. If you want to hear the full story, then the most recent episode before this one is where we dive into that. And what I'll also say, I'm glad I remembered this before we're going, is that the last time we went on hiatus was in 2024 when I was having a baby. And in that episode, we did a very similar New to Clarity on Fire start here. It's the 2024 edition. You could scroll back to June 2024. And we mentioned some of these episodes in that top episodes list that I curated for that. However, it's very different because we did a life and career direction section. We did, if you want to hone your intuition section, listen to these episodes. If you want to learn more about feminine and masculine energy, listen to these. And I didn't want to repeat that because I was like, well, people could just go back to that episode and get those top recommendations. So if you want more recommendations around different areas that are not just life and career direction, go back to the June 2024 New to Clarity on Fire episode and take a look at those suggestions, because there are some really good episodes there for things that you might want to know more about that we aren't talking about right now in this one.
So we're trying to give you a lot of direction on where to start.
Maybe too many, but you know what? There's something for everyone.
You don't have to wade through 430 episodes on your own. We can give you at least some places to get started.
Well, enjoy whatever direction of Clarity on Fire roulette you choose to go in right now. We hope you have a good time, and we will be back at some point, hopefully in 2027.
Okay. We hope to see you then.
Bye.